and welcome to the Women's Football Podcast in association with We Love Sport. I'm Nicole Holliday, and this is the last of our Euro Hangout specials. We are here at the Sports Bar and Grill in Marylebone, ahead of England versus Germany in the final at Wembley Stadium. Wembley Stadium very soon, and we're going to be looking back at the tournament in the company of two very, very special guests. So first up, she represented the Lionesses 93 times. Yeah, decent run. Scoring 16 goals and has been covering the tournament for various broadcasters. It's the legendary Sue Smith, everyone. And someone else who is a very well-known voice within women's football, commentated on the Champions League for DAZN and can be heard across BBC's coverage. It's Pien Meulensteen! So this pod is going to be kind of like an unofficial awards ceremony where we have a little look back at the tournament, some of the biggest and best moments so far. Before we get on to that, I just want to talk about something that Ian Wright was saying after the semi-final, which I think is so true, that this tournament needs to leave behind a legacy, and that we need to see girls participating in football, and we all need to encourage that. And it's so true, isn't it? But I also feel like we are going to see that after this tournament soon.
I think we are, and it was a surprise to me that there was so many schools that still aren't offering girls football. When we seen the stats, that was a real surprise, because I was never allowed to play football at school. So yeah, I think that is obviously really important to do that. And I think what the girls are focusing on is just going to win the game. That's the most important thing for them. They don't realise the impact that probably they're having on society, on things changing within schools, more opportunities for girls, because football should be for all, and there should be opportunities. And we just hope that this tournament will leave that sort of legacy.
It's so true. I mean, I know when I was at school in PE, the girls never played football. They were like, you guys just chill in the corner or dance or do netball or something. We were never encouraged to play football, and it feels like that's going to completely change. And I think it's fair to say it has been over the past few years. Also, this tournament, I feel like it's going to be very big for the likes of the WSL, the Champions League as well. I think we are, fingers crossed, going to see a wider audience have maybe more of an interest in women's football going forward after this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things with this tournament is what's really important is that everyone sort of needs to work on what they've created here with the Euros and bring that into the Women's Super League, because the Women's Super League is a great football league. They have amazing matches, you'll see the players week in, week out, the football grounds are accessible, tickets aren't expensive at all to go and watch them. And hopefully, the fact that all these people are getting interested in women's football now, go and watch the women's teams, go and watch your local team play football. That's what it needs. It needs the domestic game to keep on growing, and then hopefully, you'll get massive crowds going in, week out, because it can't just be once every blue moon. It needs to keep on building after this.
Yeah, and also, I guess, off the back, you guys probably saw the same thing, off the back of the 2019 Women's World Cup, there's kind of hype for a while afterwards, but that can sometimes then fall off a bit. So it's keeping that momentum going, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, to keep that momentum going. And you think after this tournament it will. You look at the attendances, you look at the attendances at Old Trafford, all of the groups, and then obviously at Wembley it's going to be the sell-out crowd. So I think that's so important, to just keep that momentum going. And like Ian said, we want to see those fans in the WSL. We want to see them at their local clubs, supporting their local teams, whether it's the WSL, whether it's the Championship. Go and support them. It's important.
So the fact that, people can see the crowds going week in, week out, the atmosphere is amazing, and it makes you enjoy it so much more. So I just think the fact that, young people are getting involved, but it's up to, parents to bring their kids to go and watch the games. And, I'm sure there's people that are enjoying it now and they see how good it is. and it just has to keep continuing, and then more people will get interested. The fact that younger boys are going, hopefully that will make them more open to letting younger girls play with them, because I think that's a big problem as well, where when they're younger and they're at school and they've got their own clique and playing football together, it's really hard for someone to go and approach them and say, I want to play football, whereas hopefully now it's become a little bit more open, and it's a game for everyone, and starting younger, and that's sort of how it will grow from the kids.
Yeah. And Sue, we were speaking earlier about the fact that whilst we're on the topic of attendances, that for this final, everyone has been trying to call anyone they know that might be able to get them a ticket for it, because everyone is desperate to be at the final, and that in itself is huge, regardless of the outcome. Of course, we are recording this podcast before the final. Fingers crossed England win, obviously. But it's stuff like that that feels like there's a real difference.
Oh, yeah, it's huge, and it is. I've had so many people say to me, please can you get me tickets? But that appetite is there, that people want to now go and watch women's football, and you've seen the different age ranges as well. So you're seeing the young boys and the young girls. We're also seeing older men and older women that are going and enjoying the football. So it goes across the board, and that's what you want. And you want them to be talking about the football, not necessarily saying it's women's football, it's just football. And you can hear them that they're talking about tactical battles, they're talking about who their favourite player is, why their favourite player is them, for what reason. That is important. I play five-a-side twice a week. My five-a-side got called off on Tuesday night because the boys wanted to watch the game, which is massive. That would never have happened probably 2 or 3 years ago. So things are certainly changing, perceptions certainly changing.
What I've loved about this tournament as well is all the fans from the different nations coming to England. The Icelandic fans were amazing, the Dutch fans are great as well, and just seeing them all come over, and I think that also shows how big women's football is across Europe. It's not just England, it's been growing rapidly in Spain, France has got a big following. And then, a team like Iceland, who you wouldn't expect to have such big fans, they were amazing. They were probably one of my favourite fans of the whole tournament, because they brought them out. The crowd was huge. They made their noise, and it's just nice to see that it's across the board, across Europe, that sort of everyone's coming together to score.
Yeah, and the support here in England, I don't know if you saw the other night, that at the changing of the guard ceremony, they were playing Sweet Caroline, absolute banger, and obviously we see the royal family putting out a message, people like Ed Sheeran, like the support. It's been overwhelming here. This is huge.
It is, and I think that the players are just in their own little bubble, so they're not probably appreciating everything that's going on. It'll be when they come out of that they'll be like, wow, the support that we've had from every, like say, across different platforms. The royal family, fantastic. David Beckham, we've got, like say, Ed Sheeran. They're all supporting the Lionesses, and I think they have inspired so many people. Whatever happens today, they've inspired a lot of people, and they should be proud of what they've done.
Sue, how will they be feeling? How will they be dealing with this pressure? Because they've dealt with it very well so far. They've been labelled as favourites for this tournament since the get-go.
Yeah.
But coming out at Wembley, we know that home advantage is obviously one part of it, and that can also, go against you in a sense of the pressure that they're going to feel.
I think they've always had that pressure and expectation, like I said, from the opening match. We were sort of saying England could go on and win this because of they're at home, because of the manager that they've got who's been there and done it. But I think they've absorbed all of that pressure, haven't they? They've embraced it, and I think that's so important. That definitely comes from the manager. I think she's really helped with calming things down and sort of saying, just go out and play your football, because that's the most important thing. And these players, you can see they're using the crowd to their advantage. I think it was Brighton, wasn't it, that they really needed it. The crowd got behind them, the scene gave them a real boost, and I think they'll do exactly the same today at Wembley.
I was watching the documentary that the Lionesses made, and it was really interesting when Serena said, I think they won like 10 or 11-0 one time, and she said, great win, huge win, but it's a win. It's not about how many goals we scored, we've won, and that's it, and we stay humble, we move on to the next one, and I think that's probably the mindset that she's had throughout the whole tournament, is don't get too caught up in how many people are getting involved, how many people are going to watch you, because it can be overwhelming. I mean, 90,000 people watching you, it's so scary.
Yeah.
But the fact that, she would have had her own little bubble, she would have told them, probably stay off social media for now, just stay with your close group of friends, stay in that bubble. They've got a great, where they are at St George's Park, it's amazing facilities. I think that's probably what the message has been to the players, is just stay with your family and friends, get their messages to you of support and good luck and stuff, get pumped up for the game, but don't get too overwhelmed, because when you're too overwhelmed, you kind of saw it a little bit in the game in Old Trafford, where they started a little bit slowly against Austria. They got the win, and great that they did that, and it was a fantastic opening match, but perhaps the occasion got a little bit too much for them, and that's the last thing you want to happen at a final at Wembley. Good thing is they've already played Germany at Wembley before, so they have experience. They've had experience of a huge crowd as well, so hopefully it'll just carry them through.
And I think that's the difference, because I think when we played Germany in 2009, I don't think we had that belief that we could actually go and beat them. Whereas I feel because they've already done it, they've got that experience, they know how to do it now. So yes, you've got the crowd to add that a bit more pressure, but I think because they've got the mentality and the belief, I just think that's certainly going to help them.
And with someone like Serena Wiegman leading them out there, she's so calm all the time. It stresses me out. Like the whole game, no matter what's happening, she's got this face that just doesn't give much away. But me, like you were saying, I guess her role in this has obviously been so important. She's absolutely incredible. And she really is, I suppose, helping them keep grounded and probably that calmness that they need.
Yeah, well, she's been in this situation before. She took the Netherlands all the way to the 2017 crown, and when she was in charge of the Netherlands, she did exactly the same thing, kept the same team the whole way through. So it will be interesting to see what she does today, whether she is going to keep the same team. It might be a bit superstitious now, where you kind of have to stick with it. But she's one of those managers with, she's got huge experience. She's got experience of managing big players. And she's been here before, and I think that will help her loads. And the fact that she's got the team around her that she knows well, she's had those. She's on this amazing winning run, which she won't want to end. She's also been all the way to the final of the World Cup to play against USA, and although they lost, she took her team all the way to that point. So she knows how to win in big competitions. So I think she'll just take this, with everything that she's got, and I think she fits so well in this England side. It's been, for me, because I'm from the Netherlands, it's amazing that she's.
Has it been hard?
Well, it was hard when she left the Netherlands, because we were like, oh, what a great coach. But the fact that I've been living in England for 20 years, so it's kind of bittersweet with me, because she's Dutch and I still England, so it works out well for me. So I'm England all the way now.
She's brilliant. She's absolutely. I think it's how meticulous she is in all of her planning, but it's the communication skills. It's how the players know exactly where they are. So whether you're a starting 11 or whether you're an impact sub, they know. And I think she's created things love, and they want to go out. They look like they're enjoying their football, and I think that's so important. But she does a lot of yoga, and she has naps, so that's how she stays calm and powerful.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So maybe we need to take that every day.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Pien, like you were saying about the lineup, if Serena Wiegman changes anything for this final, I will eat my England bucket hat, because it's just not going to happen, is it? But you would have thought, my worry was that teams would have then figured us out, because they know exactly what they're coming up against. They know the subs that are going to come on. But Sue, I think the really key point that you just said there is that the team all seems so happy, and we all love to debate whether Alessia Russo should be starting. She doesn't seem to care, because she is this super sub, and she's making such an impact. She's getting those goals. Everyone, and we'll come on to that goal a bit later, I'm sure, but she just seems to be loving it, even if she is a sub.
Yes, and do you know what? That's the hardest thing, I think, as a manager, coach, is trying to deal with the players that aren't starting. Because I know as a player, I always wanted to start. If I didn't start, I hated it. And it was the manager then, it's their responsibility to try and keep you involved and keep that togetherness. And I think that's what she's done so well. And the players know, like say, what their goals are. If they come on, they know exactly what to do. You've seen Alex Greenwood. I thought she was a lucky one to start the tournament. She didn't start the tournament, but when she's come on, she's made such a difference and such an impact. And that is obviously down to herself personally, but also the manager and the coaching staff has kept her focused and ready, because she has been involved with the players and done the same. So that communication between the manager and the players is key.
I think it's important as well when you're playing in big tournaments, you have to be able to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, whatever happens. So the fact that she has such a depth of squad, she's got the substitutes that she knows, I'm going to bring Alessia Russo on because I need a bit of pace up front, I need to have a bit more energy. She's going to bring her on. Same with Ella Toone. She's got every position is covered by someone, and everyone, like Sue said, knows exactly what they're doing. So whether Serena's had that conversation with Alessia saying, you might not be starting, but I need you to come on and make an impact, and she will have taken that and thought, she's one of the players that everyone's talking about, despite not playing 90 minutes in any of the games. But it doesn't matter. If you are there to make an impact, you want to do the best for your team, and if that's your role, then I'm sure every player will be happy to fill it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, looking back on the tournament then, let's reminisce even though it's not quite finished. So, favourite goal of the tournament? We're probably all going to say the same thing, aren't we? Alessia Russo.
How could we not pick Russo's back here? It was just...
Nutmeg as well, Sue.
Oh, it was unreal. I think, first of all, to do that in a semi-final, to have the confidence, to have the technical ability to be able to do it, was just phenomenal. And I was in the stadium and it went quiet for a little bit, because I think everyone was like, she hasn't just done that, and obviously she had done it, and it was what a goal. But I listened to the interview again from her afterwards, and she said I should have scored the first one. So when the ball came in, she should have scored it. But again, that's like, I think that comes from Serena. Always wants it more. She's such a perfectionist. So she would say, yeah, great goal, but you need to put this one away. And that's brilliant. She said it in Sweden. We said to her, was that the perfect performance? And she went, no. Second half was good. First half needed to be better. That's what you want as a player. You don't want to just go, oh, brilliant, we just got to 4-0 in the semi-final. You want to know what you need to do to be better.
There's been loads of goals. Obviously, the Alessia Russo is probably the one that everyone's going to remember. But the one that I remember, because I did this one for the BBC, was Hannah Bennison coming on against Switzerland. 19 years old, scored the winning goal from distance on the edge of the box. It was a super strike, absolutely belted it in the back of the net, and that was a great goal just because of the timing that it was, the way she hit it, the fact that she hadn't played. That was, I think, it was her first appearance at Euro 22, and she'd only been on the pitch a matter of minutes. And I think players like that, when you can come on and you score like that, they're moments you'll never forget, because you've changed the game really, and you've got yourself through. Only moments before that, Switzerland, Ramona Bachmann scored an amazing goal from distance as well. Keeper could have really saved it, but still, it was a good goal. So it was like that game sort of had everything in it. So that one I remember as well as a big goal.
Also, we've got to give a little mention to the Georgia Stanway screamer. That's up there.
Yeah. To win the game as well with it, that's the thing, it's such an important point. So it was the fact that when she was running through, you were thinking she could play it left, she could play it right, and she was just like, I'm going to have a go, and thankfully she did. Great.
I wonder if we'll see a goal of the tournament in this final. Honestly, even the thought of this final, it's just really stressing me out. I feel like this podcast will be quite funny to listen to afterwards.
Yeah, I know, because we're all flopping around.
I know, I'm so hot. Right, best or favourite game of the tournament? I mean, they're probably merging into one, because I know you guys have got lots of games.
We were speaking about it before, but for me, it has to be that Spain-England game. Just because those are the games that you will remember, because you are on the edge of your seat. And the way that England won it was incredible. The fact that, Ella Toone scored so late on to keep England in the match, and then Georgia Stanway scoring an extra time. You literally couldn't write it. And I really enjoyed watching Spain, and I actually think it was unfortunate that England met Spain in the quarter-final and they went out at that point, because I really enjoyed watching them throughout the tournament. I thought they grew into the tournament a bit more. They were a little bit shaky in the opening match, but the players that they've got, obviously really sad that Alexia Putellas wasn't part of it, but probably helped England out quite a bit that she wasn't part of it.
If they had Alexa Press and Jane Russo as well on that side, that would have been
dangerous. Would have been really dangerous.
That's what was missing, wasn't it? It was the finish. So you just think to have those two, you've got your creative player and your person that's going to finish.
Exactly.
It would have certainly been right up there, I think.
That was a good game, but also emotional roller coaster. Like my nerves, my heart didn't love it.
I literally jumped up on the sofa. I mean, at this point, the Netherlands were still in the competition, so I was like, but then I just found myself, I was like, wow, come on, this is amazing. Just because, when Ella Toone scored, I love it. I just love it when there's so much drama in a game of football, and the crowd, her knee slide celebration, it was amazing. And then obviously that game I'll always remember. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that probably has to be mine as well. I think just because of the technical ability of Spain, and I went into that game very confident for England. I thought England were in really good form, Spain not so much, but Spain showed why they were a team to be feared because of the technical ability, and they were the better side for 80 minutes, would you say? And it was just that England kept going, and you've seen that resilience from them, which I think is quite important. I also like the corner against Sweden because I think to beat a side, they're trying number 2 in the world, so convincingly. I know they only 30 minutes with the opportunities variants with a lot of really good saves, but after that, I was so comfortable, and I think to be able to beat a side who were probably one of my favourites before the start of the tournament, so convincingly. I was just so impressed with them.
Sweden, I don't know if anyone heard about this, but they, before the tournament, brought out a whole guide on how to beat Sweden.
Yeah, I know.
Which, I don't know, it must have been a bit of a marketing thing, but it was a detailed explanation on how to beat them, and like every single player went in on their strengths and weaknesses. I don't know if the players would have signed up on that, because why would you want anyone to know? But the fact that they kind of, they didn't win the tournament, they had, they went out at the semi-final stage. It's one of those things where they probably look back and think,
why did we do that?
Yeah, maybe best not to do that for the World Cup.
Serena's definitely read that as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's there on the glasses, right, let's go.
She'll probably send it back to the Swedish manager and say thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers for that.
Who has been your best player of the tournament? I mean, there's quite a few up there, right?
There's loads, and I'm probably going to be England biased here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with someone that you probably wouldn't expect. I'm going to go with Millie White.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good. Because I know, like, obviously Beth Mead's been brilliant. You can speak about different players in different games that have really stood up. I just think she's been consistently good, and you speak about how good she is defensively. She's got her head on everything. Her challenges have been brilliant, but also her distribution against Spain, especially. You could see left foot, right foot, pinging it out to the wing. So she's got that as well. I just think she's been that real lever at the back when England's needed one. So go for Millie.
Yes,
I've got a few. I could pick quite a few for England because obviously they're in the final, so you obviously have to pick, the teams that are in the finals. But I thought maybe ones to watch, some youngsters that I thought had done really, really well. Selma Basha for France. She hadn't started a game, but she came on as substitute. She won player of the match when she came on the sub. She is just so good on that left-hand side. She's so pacey. She plays for Lyon. You'll be able to see her in the Champions League. She's already won so many honours, and I think she's only like 21 or something. So Selma Basha ripped it up this tournament. I thought she was brilliant. Daphne van Domselaar, who was in goal for the Netherlands, who had only made one appearance in the Netherlands team before the Euros, and some of the saves that she made against France, wow, like she will have that on her CV for the rest of her life, because they were she saved Wendy Renard twice she stopped her, and like not many keepers can do that. She's only 21, and then the other one for me, Lena Oberdorf, who we'll see today in midfield. She's 20 years old, plays for Wolfsburg, also plays in the Champions League, so if you follow the Champions League, she's brilliant in that. But she has been, I think, probably one of the midfielders of the tournament, because she is just so strong. And I mean, you don't want us to have a great game today because
she's quiet today.
She's quiet today, but I think looking back, she's probably one of the ones that everyone will have their eye on.
Oh yeah, so many incredible players we've just mentioned there. I think as well, for me, obviously Beth Mead, obvious one, but I feel like she's really stepped up in this tournament. And also Alexandra Park, both of them fighting out for the Golden Boot. Again, once we've uploaded this podcast, we'll know who's won it. So hopefully it's Beth Mead. Well, you never know, it could be Alexia Russo, depending on how many she maybe scores. Also, I think a word from Mary Earps, because she's been phenomenal. So many crucial saves for us as well. So good.
I actually think this is the best version of Mary Earps that I've seen. I think she's always been very good. I really like she knows that she's on the ball. She's having to do it.
Yeah.
I just think for me, she will come back. She's been great feeling and a shot against me. It could be too loud.
Within like 20 seconds as well. Oh,
brilliant.
Honestly, I love Mary. Who do you think have been the biggest underachievers? I felt a bit mean saying that, which is why I kind of paused halfway through.
For me, it's got to be Norway, because I tweeted about them when they played Northern Ireland. I was like, wow, this is the first game, and I was like, Norway looks so good. They're absolutely like ripping it apart. And then it just like went down. But when you look at the players that they have in their squad, Guro Reiten, Ada Hegerberg, Caroline Graham-Hansen. I mean, Caroline Graham-Hansen for me is one of the best players in the world, and I think she's not spoken about enough. And she's so good. So they just, and obviously that defeat against England sort of just settled it for them that they weren't going to do well in this tournament. But it's a shame really, because when you look at the depth of squad that they've got and the players in there, you'd expect them to be up, and you expect them to be in the knockouts, and the fact that they didn't get there was really disappointing. But maybe they'll learn from it and they'll grow from it. They've got a World Cup coming up, so we'll see what happens to there. But I'm sure those top players that are playing in that squad weren't happy and were hugely disappointed with the performance.
Oh yeah, and Hegerberg's probably thinking, why did I come back to international football again? Yeah. You know what? That was actually one of my favourite games for obvious reasons, but also I was watching it with Anita Asante, and we were sat there when these goals kept going in. It slightly got to a point we weren't even celebrating. We were so confused because we were like, hold on, this is Norway. And actually, a friend of mine who is a big football fan, doesn't know that much about women's football, and had kind of said, oh, that doesn't look great for women's football, that England has smashed the team at Hill. And I was like, no, Norway are very good. It's not like us playing like Macedonia, this is a very good side. England just somehow absolutely annihilates. What happened though for Norway, do you think? What went wrong?
I think they probably just got a bit surprised by the goals that came against them. I think they didn't have a plan B. They didn't know where to go from there. I think the fact that some of the mistakes defensively were really cost them. And they just couldn't get themselves back from there. They couldn't get the ball forward. And the fact that England were just ruthless, they were taking their chances. Everything was going in for them. And once you're a team that's in momentum, it's really hard to stop, and especially when you've got a team like England with so much threat going forward, you've got clinical players that can finish. It was just always going to be difficult. So I think they were just surprised. I don't think they expected it to be that heavy of a defeat.
If we weren't favourites already, that kind of really cemented that, didn't it? And what about the biggest surprise player or surprise team? I would have put in Millie Bright potentially, only because I know how good she is, but I think the way she has really blown up in this tournament, and maybe more people are appreciating her than before.
I think that's a really good point. You know, cliche like offensive players, I think Georgia Stanway in there. Also, she was the fourth. And I think she wasn't all in the mix. She had a brilliant season last year. That level and scores many goals consistently. I think she's really got the she had it in her to actually do it.
Yeah, I think for me probably Alessia Russo, only because it's her first major tournament. They haven't, her and Ella Toone, I know they're best friends and they play together at Manchester United, but they've only been part of the squad not that long. So the fact that they have sort of just they've taken it in their stride, they're loving every second of it. They're already on the goals. They're getting goals for their names. It's just amazing to see, and the fact that this tournament hasn't been too big for them. They fit right in. So it's just, I love seeing younger players that are getting a chance and taking the opportunity, and I think that's exactly what she's done.
Massively. I know. Do you know why, Sue? I think because she's been so good, seemed, I guess, maybe older than her years, playing with that sense of maturity and confidence. For me, I'm like, oh yeah, she's amazing. Like almost that I expected that of her this tournament, but that's so true. I wouldn't have thought, wow, she's going to absolutely shine in this tournament. So that is a great shout. Lastly, is it coming home? Dare we say those 3 words?
Yeah. I think it's a really hard one to call, but I've literally said this for every single game at the knockouts. I've been like, I really don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. You just can't tell. But you've got to have faith in England. I think the fact that the crowd is massive.
Yeah.
You know, even arriving here on the train today, the train station was packed. There's so many people going to watch it. I just think that the momentum is with England, and Germany wants to spoil the party. They've had a great tournament so far. They've only conceded 1 goal, which is incredible. But I think they've got to do it, England. They've got to do it. I hope they do it. Otherwise, I'm going to cry. Yeah.
It's very much so alive. Look at things you like. One goal each. Only potentially that one. The systems that they play are very similar.
Yeah.
It's going back ways of that. So many things that happen in the field is really good. So look at it. I can't wait to see Pop and Millie Bright. That's what that is just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming home. I think it's really good starts. At Wembley against Germany, I am nervous for this Germany side. If England starts slow, it's Germany side.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's safe to say, win or lose, this has been a huge success for England, hasn't it? Has been.
So many people happy, proud, everything they do. And I just
It's been an amazing tournament. I've loved the whole thing in terms of the crowds that have been there, the stadiums have been great, everything sort of surrounding it as well. I'm sure the players, once this tournament is finished, will look back and be able to actually take it in there, because I'm pretty sure they probably just stay in their bubble and haven't actually experienced how immense it's been. So I'm hoping for the players. Obviously, it's going to be a good outcome for them, but I think give them a little bit of a break, let them sort of soak in what they've achieved, because it's been huge. And onwards and upwards.
Pien, Sue, thank you so much. We are going to be heading to the final together. Cannot wait to watch it with you guys. Hopefully it ends with us crying tears of joy.
Yeah.
Thanks for the game.
Thank you.
Guys, is it coming home? Yeah. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the Women's Football Podcast on all podcasting platforms, and you can follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's @TWFP1, and on Instagram, it's @the Women's Football Podcast. And make sure you download the We Love Sport app to find your nearest pub showing your favourite sporting events.